and he should grant our heart's requests, and our good resolutions, he should enable us to fulfill them. It's easy to make a lot of good resolutions, but it's not so easy to keep them. You need special help for that too. You need help to do the right thing. Then we will be able to rejoice in your salvation, Hashem. Ubashem Eloheinu Nidgel, and we will raise the name of God high on a banner. Yomali Adonai Kol Mishalei Hashem should fulfill all your heart's requests. Ata Yadaiti, David HaMelech says, now I know, Ki Heshi Adonai Mashiach, Hashem saves his righteous Redeemer, his anointed one. Ya'aneu Mishmei Kodshei, he answers him from his holy heavens. B'gevures, with might. Yesha, salvation. Yemine, from his right hand. Our enemies may come at us with chariots and cavalry and their modern day equivalents, forms. We come with the name of God on our lips. Although they stumbled and fell, and we are still standing strong, getting on to 4,000 years, 3,500 years. Hashem is our King. He should deliver us on the day that we call unto him. You know, people say these things. It's easy to say, but you have to meditate a little bit, think about it. We say, Behold, Adar, in every generation, a person should consider as if God took him personally out of Egypt. Good morning. The people, the young people nowadays, the old people nowadays, really relate to that? Do they remember that we really were slaves? We really were in Egypt? Nobody ever got out of Egypt. Nobody. No slave could run away. Here, an unbelievable thing happened. Millions of people left Egypt overnight. But people don't even stop to realize. It's the whole exodus from Egypt was not natural. How did so many millions of people leave in one shot? The traffic jam must have been unbelievable. Millions of people, they didn't have highways like we have, paved roads with cars that could go 60, 70 miles an hour. They had donkeys loaded with goods, and they went into the sea and came back out. Most people don't know this either, that they went in, they didn't cross the sea. They did a U-turn, they came back out on the same side. And that's why they were terrified. They thought maybe the Egyptians are also coming out on the same side. They're going to start up after us again. So Hashem had to show them that they were all gone. They were all dead. But just think about it. It says that 300,000 men left Egypt. They had wives, they had children, they had parents, they had animals. They were laden with goods. They had so much gold and jewelry, they didn't know what to do with it. They used it. They used it to build a sanctuary for God. How did they, in the course of one night, they all went across? It didn't take several days. A lot of things are hard to understand. Said Moshe Rabbeinu came down from Mount Sinai. Hashem taught him Torah. In 40 days, 40 nights, he didn't eat, he didn't sleep, he didn't drink. By day, Hashem taught him the laws of the Torah. At night, he taught him the reasons. The inner life and meaning, symbolism, godliness. Moshe came down and taught Aaron, not everything all at once, but he taught him one thing at a time, presumably. So he taught Aaron. Then Aaron sat down beside Moshe. This is from the Chumash we learned, I think, this week. It's this week's Chumash. We learned it a couple of times. Aaron sat down beside Moshe, and because Moshe heard from Hashem. Now Aaron heard from Moshe. Aaron's sons came in and sat beside Aaron and Moshe. Then the leaders of the tribes came in. Also, the sons came in and Moshe repeated for them. So now Aaron had heard twice. Now the leaders of the tribes came in and Moshe repeated for them. So now Aaron's sons had heard twice, twice. Aaron had heard 3 times. Then all the Jewish people came in and Moshe repeated for them. And how did all the Jewish people come in? How did Moshe teach all the Jewish people, 300,000 people? These are just the men, 300,000 people. Where did they fit? Where did they go? How could he make himself heard? Well, maybe he couldn't make himself heard. It says Moshe didn't want to be the leader of the Jewish people. He said to Hashem, I can't. I have a speech defect. Hashem said, don't worry about your speech defect. I will tell you what you have to teach. And Aaron will repeat it to everybody. Aaron will be your spokesman. These are amazing. We learn it when we're young in Sunday school, in Hebrew school. We don't really think about what it means. From the time that Hashem said to Moshe, I will tell you what to say, Moshe did not say anything on his own ever again. Whatever he said was just what Hashem told him. People don't know, they don't realize, they don't think into the words, what it really is saying. Chaim. Now, an idea I want to share with you, which is a very important idea, and you can all say, well, we heard this already, Rabbi, so many times. That's right. And now you're going to hear it another time, because very, very important. And I don't think there's a single mimer in Hasidus that doesn't bring up this thought and teach it all over again. And that is, the character of a human being is such that we have intellect, knock, knock, anybody there? Knock, knock. And we have feelings. Girls, when it comes time to choose a young man to establish a home, there's one thing you have to look for. Hashem wants a good heart. And that's what you have to look for. Someone with a good heart. Looks, money, family. You have to make compromises. But on a good heart, you can't make a compromise. So these are the 2 basic aspects of a human being, intellect and feelings. Feelings are your drivers. They make you go, they make you do. When I was a kid, I used to watch football games on television. So there was an advertisement for Atlantic gasoline. And you know, things go in when you're young. It's so important to teach the children when they're young, to teach them Torah. The Rebbe stresses that Jewish mothers throughout the centuries used to sing a lullaby to their infant children that I don't know the words. The title of this lullaby is Raisins and Almonds. You ever heard that? Your Bubby ever taught? Ask your Bubby if she knows Rajankers on mandolin. Mandel, name Mendel or mandel means almonds, and Rosenker is raisins. And the song goes on, talks about life, but the conclusion of the song is that there's all kinds of things a person can do in life, but Torah is the best schira. Torah is the best commodity a person can ever have. Torah is the best schira. Torah is the best thing. Torah is for your brains. That's how Hashem gets into your head. Torah is light. Torah is compared to light. That when a person's in a dark room, he feels uncomfortable, like the hostages in the dungeons of Gaza. Heaven have mercy on them. They're left in the dark. They're just left there in the dark in chains. They can't move. They can't see. A person in a dark room feels terribly anxious. He doesn't know where he is or what's going to happen to him. He can't do anything. He can't see how to get out. Terrible. Someone comes in with a light and he sees where he is. There's a story I'm not going to tell you about the previous Rebbe when he was a young man. Before Bar Mitzvah, he was thrown in jail. And he was very, very nervous. So what did he do? He knew a lot of Torah by heart, even though he was still only about 9 or 10 years old. So he reviewed his learning for an hour. He read a whole, like 16% of the oral Torah he already knew by heart and reviewed it. And then he remembered he had some matches in his pocket. Kids often have matches. When they grow up, they look for the right match also. And he struck a match and he saw, now he saw where he was. And he thought there was another person who was injured and was moaning and groaning from his wounds. And it turned out to be a little calf was tied up and had also been thrown into the prison, because the prison guard who threw him in the prison had also stolen the calf and put it in the dungeon. The point is, light pushes away darkness. A little light pushes away a lot of darkness. And the Rebbe once said that when you're in a very, very dark place, a little light is much more visible. It has a greater effect because of the darkness. In a very dark night, you'll see a light in a house far away. Whereas during the day, you wouldn't even notice it. So that's what happened. Torah is like a light. Darkness is our day-to-day life, is darkness. Why is it called darkness? Because godliness is hidden. Truth is hidden. It's a false world. People are full of lies and deceitfulness. The world is very dark, full of selfishness. A good deed is like a lantern shining in the darkness. Torah is called light, shining in the darkness of our exile. So Torah is light. Girls, you have to remember this. You heard it before, so I'm telling you again. Torah is called light. Torah appeals to your brains, right? Because we learn Torah, we understand Torah, we think about Torah, we meditate about Torah. What about your feelings? Well, the Torah has to come into your feelings, and that makes you do things, because your feelings are the doers. Feelings are doers. Brainy people don't do anything. They just think. What makes a person want to do something, where does the wanting come from? The wanting comes from someplace higher than your brains. You know, like my hat. It's higher than my head. That's why we always keep our head covered, to remind us of that which is higher. Unlike all these statues from ancient Rome and Greece, where nobody wears a hat. They exalt the brains. They worship their brains. And this is the greatness of mankind, that he thinks. Who was it? Descartes said, I think, and therefore I am. Torah says, no. There's something much higher than our brains. And that's the source of our life. So we have a power that is a greater power than the power of wisdom. And that is your willpower. Our sages teach us nothing stands before willpower. You're going to have two fighters in a ring, and one is a better fighter, but he won't necessarily win the fight because his opponent may be more determined. He may be more motivated. He said yesterday, Kennedy, motivation. He may be more motivated and therefore have a stronger desire to win and to prevail. That's called willpower. The word in Hebrew is ratzon. Nothing stands in the way of a strong ratzon. So when you ask, where did the world come from? Hashem made the world. Why did Hashem make the world? Because that was his will. So what's the ultimate cause of the creation of the world is Hashem's willpower. This is what he wants. What does Hashem want? Why does Hashem want to create a world? Because that's a good answer. Weren't you going to say that, Hannah? Because. Mother comes to you, why did you do this? Because. Because why? Because I wanted to. Why did you want to? Jewish people always ask so many questions. Why did you want to? And there's an answer to that too, because in the real world of Ratzon, now listen carefully. This is basic Hasidus. 101. Why does a person want something? Because it gives him pleasure. That's in Yiddish, the word is geschmack. Geschmack means, it's good. I like it, because he likes it. So Hashem created a world because he wants to have a place that he can call home. Everybody wants to have a home. If you don't have a home, what are you? Homeless. It's a very low state, very low condition to be homeless. Very depressing. Therefore, everybody has a natural desire to have a home, and we have a natural desire to have a family. There's a lot going on between men and women, how women attract men and how men attract women, and the signals that they give to each other. Why do they do that? Because they want to have a home. And that's how we do all kinds of things in order to have a home, a family and a home. Okay. So in the realm of willpower, we have the external willpower and we have an internal willpower, a more insider view of what makes people tick. For instance, a person may be working on a project, working very, very hard on a project, because if he finishes this project, he's going to get a grant. A big grant, a lot of money. Why does he want the grant? Does he need the grant? Because he wants to do more research. The grant will enable him to do even more research. And he'll get a better job. And he'll get more money. Oh, that's why he's working, because he wants another grant with more money. Why does he want more money? Because he wants to be able to buy a house. And for that, he needs more money. Why does he want to buy a house? Because he wants to have a family. So the real reason that he's working to get this grant is because he wants to be able to support his family. What's really important to him? The grant? No, the family. So similarly, Hashem created the whole world because he wants to have a world. Why does he want to have a world? That's like working on the grant. That's the external level of what Hashem wants. What's the internal level of what Hashem wants? He wants a family. Who's his family? In the family, Hashem's family, he's the father, and we are the children. And he wants a home. That's the Beis HaMikdash. And if the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, so it's the shuls and the houses of learning, the yeshivas. This is where Hashem can be found. And if they come and they destroy the Beis HaMikdash and they destroy the shuls and they burn the shuls, I have in my phone a picture of shuls burning during the Third Reich. They took pictures of burning the shuls. So the shuls are burned down. So then it says in the Talmud, since the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, the only place Hashem has for a home is the 4 square cubits of Torah law. So Torah law is also a home. So Hashem wants a home. Why does he want a home? Because he wants to be together with the family. We are the family. And he wants to be together with us. And there's an external way he can be together with us through having buildings where we can be together. Those are our shuls and our yeshivas and our Talmud Torahs, our community centers. And then there's an inner place where we can be together, which is learning Hashem's Torah, because Hashem's Torah is his wisdom. It's both. It's very wise. It's full of wisdom. And it's full of instructions. These instructions are commandments. A commandment is an expression of what I want you to do. That's willpower. These are Hashem's will that he conveys to us. And he also does the same thing. He wants us in the business. He does all the commandments he commands us to do. He also does. You light a Shabbos candle? Well, Hashem doesn't need wax and string, but he will bring light into the world when women light Shabbos candles Friday evening. Men put on tefillin. What's written in the tefillin? Hear, O Israel, Hashem is our God. Hashem is one. Hashem also puts on tefillin. We read last week in the Parsha that when Moses was praying for the Jewish people, Hashem should forgive them for the golden calf. So Moshe says, I want a sign that you will always be with us and you will forgive us for the sin. Did Moshe do the sin? No. But he was the shepherd. He was pleading for the people. And so Hashem said, okay, you win. And I'm going to teach you, says Hashem, that when times are really tough and you're in big trouble, this is how you should appeal. This is how you should pray for mercy. And he taught Moshe the 13 attributes of mercy, which we say every day in davening, since this is when it was revealed to us. And Moshe said, will I see you? Hashem said, no. Nobody can see my face and survive, but I will pass by. You'll go into this cave. He showed him a cave on Mount Sinai. And he said, you go into this cave. I'm going to cover the cave with my hands, and I'll let you take a peek when I pass by. And Hashem passed by, and he taught Moshe the 13 attributes of mercy, which we say in the davening, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, on weekdays, all the time, over and over and over and over again. We're constantly saying this holy, holy prayer. Okay? And then he let Moshe take a peek for a split second. And what did Moshe see? He saw the back of Hashem's tefillin, where the tefillin latch onto the cranium, the back of your neck, right underneath where the brains. So from this, we know clear that Hashem wears tefillin. So then the question is, well, in our tefillin, it speaks about the unity of God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. There is nothing else. Doesn't mean there's not more than one God. It means God is everything. There is nothing outside. He's the source of everything, the source of life of everything. He is everything. There is only him. There's only he. What's written in God's tefillin? If he's wearing tefillin, there must be something written in them. Tefillin has Torah in it. What is the Torah that's in God's tefillin? Who is like unto Israel, my people in the world? One nation in the world. Which Hasidus explains further, one nation in the world, because they reveal the oneness of God in the world. And that makes them different from everybody else. So they're one nation, they're not like anybody else, but their whole existence is to reveal oneness in the world. Albert Einstein, the famous scientist, brilliant genius, had a theory of the shape of the world that was different from everybody. There are two theories of the world. Either it's exploding, just getting more and more and more separate. Everything is getting more separate from everything else. And Einstein said, no, the real shape of the world is a spiritual thing like this. It turns back upon itself. And they said, why did you come up with that theory? And he said, I'm not a practicing Jew. But as a Jew, I could not conceive of a creation that did not display unity of its creator. It's just in our bones, in our blood, in our consciousness. So therefore, that's what it means. We are one nation in the world. Okay, this is what's in God's tefillin. So now all this, what I'm telling you today, is there are two things you have to know. You have to know willpower is the greatest power that there is. Hashem's willpower is to create the world. He communicates his willpower to us as commandments. His commandments, that's what he wants. His will should be done. We become the doers, connect with our willpower. We desire to do it. We decide to do it. We decide to light a Shabbos candle. We decide to have a mezuzah on the door. We decide that we're going to learn Torah. We do the commandments, 613 commandments, enough commandments to fill up a lifetime, every single day, every single minute. There's no empty space, no empty time when you don't have a commandment to fulfill. Our commandments connect us with the commander. A commandment connects you with the one who gives the command, and you become one thing. Like a choreographer is connected to the dancer who does his dance. So the commandments are the dance, and we are the dancers, and Hashem is the choreographer. And it all becomes one thing. So we have to know the Torah is intellect. It's a source of light in the darkness and confusion of the world. Because the world doesn't show you unity. You see trees, you see grass, you see stones, you see nuts, you see animals, you see birds. You don't see the unity in everything. You have to think into it and realize the mystery that pervades the whole of creation, but you don't see it. It's not so obvious. You have to think into it a bit. And by doing the commandment, commandments are a connection of willpower to willpower. We connect ourselves to Hashem through his commandments. So learning Torah is such a great thing because on the intellectual level, it connects our mind with God's mind. And on the level of doing things, it connects our activities with Hashem's willpower. And I repeat to you again, a commandment means there is a commander. And that's why these things are so, so, so important. And if someone comes along and says, you don't have to do these commandments, it's America, or it's a modern age, or we don't believe in all this, and so on, that person is a false prophet, and he wants to kill you spiritually. Beware of such people. They are spiritual enemies. And they want to deracinate you, tear you away from the source of your life. Because the inner source of our life is God. And how do we connect to God? Through the commandments. They are more precious to us than life itself. Because they are, that's how we plug in. That's how we plug into the source of life and source of energy. So these are the two things we have to know, that Torah is light and commandments are like a candle. It spreads the light. Thank you very much. We've said this 100, 200 times, 300 times. We'll say it another 200, 300 times. Because these ideas are so fundamental to our whole life and understanding as Jewish people. So we keep on repeating it because we see it over and over and over again. Chaim. One time a person came to the Rebbe for the first time. He spoke Yiddish. He heard of Farbrengen. He was visiting different Rebbes. He wrote a book about the different Rebbes that he went to meet. When he came to the Rebbe, he listened to Farbrengen, and he said, it was very interesting, Rebbe, what you had to say, but it seemed to me you were repeating the same thing over and over again. The Rebbe looked at him and smiled. He said, I only have one thing to say. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. B'ezras Hashem, we'll get back on track. Tomorrow we'll take a look inside about chapter 11 of the Tanya. The Tanya, you know, someone asked the Rebbe once, where is God? Where is he? So the Rebbe answered various answers, and then he said, well, if it's really what you really want to know, it's in your heart. He's in your heart. But that's hard for us to deal. I don't know what's in my heart. So therefore, we'll modify that statement and we'll say, he's here. He's in this book. Hashem is in this book. It's how to know what's in your heart. It's a how-to book. How to know what's in your heart. One of the colleagues, you know, the Rebbe's first secretary is Rabbi Hadakov. He always carried a Tanya in a small version in his shirt pocket. And he said it's a small book, but it contains everything. One of the colleagues of the Alter Rebbe said, who wrote the Tanya, said, how did the Alter Rebbe put such a big God in such a small book?
Thank you, Rabbi Pape.
Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the nice weather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What can I do to connect to God? Somebody asked me, what can I do? I want to connect. What should a person do if he's feeling down in the dumps? What should he do? Go do someone a favor. The best advice, go do someone a favor. Even if you don't feel like it, make yourself think, what can I do to help somebody else?
I like your set. Thank you for doing this together. Oh my goodness, thank you. I was like, oh, it's a top and a skirt.